This video is sponsored by Mimimoo. Hello, I'm Mimi, and over the years I've used drawing daily as a tool to kickstart my creativity, build an art habit, and develop my style, and ultimately it's led me to my dream job as a picture book illustrator and content creator. So I thought I'd tell you a bit about my experience, give you all of my best tips, and since I haven't been drawing as much in 2024, I also want to get back into daily drawing for a little while, and you're very welcome to join me. And by the way, when I say drawing daily, I personally like to draw every weekday, so Monday to Friday, and then take weekends off to recharge and have a break from it, otherwise it becomes a bit of a chore, and that defies the point of the whole process. So yes, technically I'm not drawing every day, but it's much easier to say drawing daily than drawing 5 days out of every 7. So I first started drawing every weekday back in 2020 because honestly I had gotten annoyed with myself for feeling like a creative person who wants to draw and be an artist but never actually made any art for fear of it not being very good, and because I felt like I didn't really know what or how to draw very well. So when we had lockdowns and I had literally no excuse about not having enough time in the day or enough energy after work, I sat myself down and decided that I would just draw something, anything, every weekday, even if it was only for 15 minutes, and even if I didn't like what I had drawn. I started small and just drew funny little pencil drawings because it was the easiest entry point that I had. Then once I had started building that habit, I could focus on expanding my skills a bit, exploring digital art techniques, and even when lockdowns had ended and I had freelance graphic design work to do again, I could still find time in the day to draw a little something because it wasn't this difficult unknown thing anymore. I had removed the major hurdle, which for me was feeling like I didn't know what I wanted to do when I picked up a pencil and paper, because coming up with an idea and drawing a little something had become something that I knew how to do from drawing every day. And being creative every day was becoming part of my identity for myself. I started to really enjoy having a creative outlet, and slowly my confidence with my art was growing, which encouraged me to keep going and keep improving. So I actually ended up drawing every weekday for a full year, and in that time I drew 200 and something illustrations, I learned so many skills, and I developed my style into something that I could start thinking about using professionally. After a year of posting 5 days a week and engaging heavily on Instagram, I had grown an audience of 25,000 followers, which helped my art get seen by more people. I had a publisher reach out to me not long after, asking me to illustrate my first children's picture book, which at first I thought was too good to be true, but it turns out they really did want me to illustrate a book for them. I was able to start teaching the art skills that I'd learned to beginners on Patreon because I already had an established community, and I could start growing a YouTube channel sharing my experiences so far. So fast forward 3 years and I'm traveling full time with my creative business that I built off the back of drawing daily for a year. I've had the absolute pleasure of illustrating 6 picture books so far and have more in the works. I get to teach about art and running a creative business for a living, and although some of these things may have happened without drawing daily, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that drawing every weekday for a year changed my life. So maybe you're curious about what drawing daily can do for you. Even if the outcomes are wildly different to mine, you never know what opportunities you might create for yourself by committing to something crazy like drawing every day. I understand that not everyone has the luxury of spending an hour every single weekday on their art, and I also don't want anyone to feel pressured to draw more often than they want to. When I was drawing daily, I didn't have a family to look after, I didn't have a mortgage to worry about, and I was working freelance rather than full-time. So I had a lot of freedoms that you might not have, so I don't want you to compare the path that you're on to mine. But even if you can just spare a little bit of time most days of the week to spend on improving your art skills, you're committing to doing something for yourself that will compound over time, and you'll look back in 2 months or 6 months and see how far you've come just from all of those little pockets of time you invested. Now, I haven't been drawing for fun nearly as much this year, so I wanted to pick up drawing every weekday again for a little while. And before I properly get started, I like to make a list of drawing ideas and inspiration so that on days where I'm feeling uninspired, I have something to fall back on. So I brainstormed some ideas and collected some inspiration on a mood board on Mimimoo, who are the sponsor of today's video. I've been using Mimimoo to get organized for a couple of years now, and they're a great visual planning tool for creatives like us. For this board, I brainstormed some things that I want my daily illustrations to be, like cute, joyful, or uplifting, which helps give me a bit of direction. And then I wrote down a checkbox list of ideas for really simple subjects to illustrate that I can come and reference when I need some drawing ideas. I'm a visual person, so having mind maps and checklists is how I like to write my ideas down, and having these lists of simple drawing ideas available means that if I'm feeling uninspired one day, I always have this easily available to give me a boost of inspiration. I also love that on Mimimoo I can make inspiration mood boards from images on other sites, so I can find inspiration on a site like Pinterest and use their web clipper tool to save that image directly to one of my boards. I can also make color palettes with colors taken directly from those images, and I can make a few different boards on different themes that I know that I like to draw. It really is a handy visual planning tool for artists that I personally really enjoy using for my art. If you'd like to try it out for yourself, you can use Mimimoo for free with no time limit by signing up using the link in my description, so maybe give it a go if you're planning your own daily drawing project. Now that I have my inspiration, I'm ready to get started drawing daily again, and while I do that, I want to share with you my tips if you want to try building your own daily drawing habits. So tip number 1 is to remove as many hurdles as you can. If you're anything like me, then having to problem solve before you even get started making art is a surefire way to kill any creativity, so you want to remove as many hurdles as you can before you even sit down to draw. Some common hurdles are not knowing what to draw. This can be solved by collecting inspiration, prompts, and mood boards ahead of time so that they're ready to go when you sit down at your sketchbook or iPad. It's daunting to be presented with a blank page when you don't have a clue what to draw, so have some inspiration or prompts at hand, or make a habit of thinking of ideas during quiet moments of your day. Not having enough time. Unfortunately, we can't wave a magic wand and just have more time in the day, but we can shift how we prioritize our time, so have a look at your daily routine and see if there's room for 20 minutes of sketching at lunch or after dinner. And maybe there just isn't for you right now. You might not be in the best chapter of your life to commit to drawing daily, but maybe it's coming up in the next chapter. Not feeling like you're very good. Try removing any expectations from yourself that you're supposed to already know what you're doing, and instead embrace making bad art so that you can learn how to make better art. A lot of us have always had a creative streak and might feel like we're already supposed to be good at art, but having that expectation will only get in the way of you having fun with it and experimenting. And not having the right tools. You might be feeling like you'll get started with art when you've saved up for an iPad or some fancy paints, but you can start building the foundation of your art habits now with any old paper and pencils. You don't need special supplies to get started. In fact, sometimes it's harder when you have nicer art supplies because you don't want to waste them. You can always upgrade later, but if the only thing holding you back from learning to draw is not having an iPad, then start with colored pencils on paper now, and by the time you get the iPad, you'll be miles ahead of where you would have been otherwise. Tip number 2 is make it sustainable. You can't expect yourself to keep a habit if it's unachievable, so make sure that you're setting up expectations that are sustainable for you. For me personally, it was making sure that I had weekends off so that I could recharge and let my creativity have a break. It was also deciding that whatever I had time to draw each day of the week was good enough, even if it was just a silly little sketch or something that kind of failed and I didn't really like. Keeping your encouragement and confidence up is crucial for a sustainable habit. So if you're setting up high expectations of your timeline or what you'll be drawing, then you're at risk of feeling discouraged when you can't maintain those expectations every single day. If you want, you could have those higher expectations just on one day a week where you spend more time drawing something more challenging. But as far as sustainable habits go, you need to have days that are easier. And it's also okay to skip a day when you really need to. I skipped days when I had too much on, but only when I really knew that it wasn't a positive thing for me to sit down and draw something. And tip number 3 is keep it interesting. You might be fueled by excitement for the first week or two, but after that you might find your interest waning a little bit as your fun art habit becomes a little bit of a chore. Pay attention to what motivates you to create your art and focus on that. Maybe for you it's the freedom in experimenting and making a mess, maybe it's sharing what you've made with other artists to build a community, or maybe it's learning new things. Whatever it is for you, make that the focus and keep things fresh so that you don't get bored of the daily grind. You want it to be something that you enjoy doing, not another chore to tick off for the day. So, do you need to draw daily to get better at art or consider yourself an artist? Absolutely not. It just takes lots of time and practice to grow your art skills, so drawing more often speeds up when you might get to your goals, but you can reach the same goals more slowly if you can only find time to draw 1 evening a week instead of 5 evenings a week. I personally find it helpful to have drawing as part of my routine and as a habit, but if it works better for your schedule to spend 2.5 hours on the weekend drawing instead of 5 half-an-hour sessions during the week, then you might find that you get the same results. It's all very personal and about what works for you. I just wanted to share my own experience with drawing every weekday because it really has changed everything for me. And I know that I'm one of the lucky ones, but I hope that if you give it a go, then it can have a positive impact on your life as well. If you'd like to learn more about art from me, then consider joining me on Patreon, where I have a whole bunch of videos on digital art topics. Plus, I host a little illustration club there every month, and the prompt for June was Farmyard Friends. So I share my journey going from prompt to finished artwork, and everyone in my Patreon community is welcome to join in and share their art if they want to as well. Thanks so much for watching this video. Give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more art and business videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.